Hello candidates and welcome back to the lesson. The subject is Governance and Compliance Audit. We are still on topic number 6, Planning for Governance and Compliance Audit. Today our focus is on the second last subchapter, that is subchapter number 15, Quality Control. And in this lesson we are going to study the importance of quality control. We look at quality control at the planning stage, then quality control throughout the audit. And in the context of governance and compliance audit, quality control is a fundamental, it is also a continuous process that begins during the planning phase and then extends throughout the final reporting and follow-up stages. And it ensures that the audit is conducted with the highest degree of professionalism, integrity, and also objectivity, and that its conclusions are reliable and well supported. So there has to be controls, quality controls over the governance and compliance audit process. So the one question we need to answer as we begin is, what is the importance of quality control? Importance. Now, candidates, just like any other process, there has to be controls so that the quality of the work is objective, and also it is one that is has an element of integrity. So one reason why quality control is important in the governance and compliance audit is because it ensures compliance with the professional standards. Ensures compliance with professional standards. Now, auditors are required to adhere to specific professional standards in the process of conducting their work. So, quality control confirms that the audit adheres to the professional standards set by bodies like the Institute of Internal Auditors, and so on. The second reason why quality control is important is because it ensures credibility. It ensures credibility. It ensures reliability. How? Now, a high quality audit adds significant credibility to the findings and recommendations, making them more likely to be accepted and acted upon by the management and also by the board. So if you are an auditor, make sure that your work is subjected to quality control, because that will add an element of credibility to your work. Number 3, protect the auditor. Alright? Or let me first address audit risk. To mitigate audit risk. Very important. Because by identifying and correcting errors or weaknesses in the audit process, quality control helps to reduce the risk of inappropriate audit opinion. Inappropriate audit opinion. Number 4, protect the auditor. You can protect the auditor. And how does quality control protect the auditor? It protects the auditor because a well-documented and high-quality audit provides a strong defense in case the audit's findings are challenged in a legal or regulatory dispute. Okay? 5, promotes continuous improvement. Quality control promotes continuous improvement. The quality control process provides a opportunity to identify areas for improvement in the audit function itself. And that is the fifth reason why quality control is important. Now we began, these are the 5 views. You recall at the beginning we did mention that the quality control is a continuous process that begins during the planning phase. Then it continues throughout the audit. Now let's discuss quality control at the planning stage. Quality control at the planning phase or stage. Quality control at the planning phase. Quality control at the planning phase. Now, quality control in the planning phase is about setting the stage for successful audit, and it ensures that the foundation is solid before any field work begins. And at this point, we may have what we call peer review of the audit plan. Peer review of the audit plan. At the planning stage, we may have peer review of the audit plan. Before the field work, the plan that is developed by the auditor has to be reviewed by peers. The audit plan and program should be reviewed by a senior member of the audit team or a peer who was not directly involved in the planning. And this review should assess whether the plans are logical, whether the plan is complete, and if it adequately addresses the identifiable risks. And it should also verify that the scope, objectives, and criteria are appropriate. That's one thing that has to be done at the planning stage. The second thing that is very important at the planning stage is review of risk assessment. Review of risk assessment and materiality. Just as the audit plan is reviewed, risk assessment should also be reviewed and materiality. A quality control review should challenge the initial risk assessment. Did the team consider all relevant risks? Are the inherent and control ratings justified? There is also the issue of materiality, audit materiality, right? Materiality assessment, particularly the qualitative aspects, should be carefully reviewed to ensure it aligns with the organization's strategic priorities and stakeholder expectations. Apart from these two, there is also the question of objectivity and independence. Independence and objectivity check. Before the auditors go to the field, there has to be a formal check which must be conducted to ensure that there are no threats to the audit team's independence and objectivity. And this is a very critical quality control point because it includes reviewing potential conflicts of interest, past relationships with the audited department, and any other potential for intimidation. And the documented safeguards to mitigate these threats should also be reviewed. Again, number 4, another aspect to review at the planning stage is the resources. There has to be someone reviewing the sufficiency of resources. Sufficiency of resources. The quality control process should verify that the audit plan includes sufficient resources. This is sufficient personnel who are qualified. There has to be sufficient budget. The time allocation should also be sufficient to execute the audit and also achieve the stated level of assurance. And if the team lacks a specific expertise, for example, in a particular IT system or regulation, then the plan to bring in a specialist should be documented and reviewed. Then lastly, we have documentation and standards. Documentation and standards. The working papers from the planning phase should be reviewed to ensure they are complete, clear, and also well organized. And that includes confirming that all planning decisions from the initial risk assessment to the final audit program are adequately documented. They are also adequately justified. So that is what has to be reviewed. These are the controls, okay? Quality control at the planning stage. Then there is also quality control throughout the audit. Quality control throughout the audit. Quality control throughout the audit. Now, while the planning phase is crucial, quality control continues throughout the audit life cycle, beginning with the field work. Field work. Senior auditors should actively supervise and guide the work of junior team members, providing real-time feedback and also ensuring procedures are followed correctly. There has to also be continuous review of working papers. All working papers prepared during the fieldwork must be reviewed by a senior auditor, and this review ensures that evidence is sufficient and also appropriate, and that the conclusions are valid. Then there is the reporting. Right? Under reporting, there has to be review of findings before the report is generated. The final audit findings and recommendations should be reviewed to ensure they are well supported by the evidence in the working papers. Then there is also the report review. Alright? Report review. The draft audit report should be reviewed for accuracy, clarity, and also tone before being submitted to management. It should also be free of professional jargon and easy for stakeholders to understand. Understand? Yes. Number 4, we have the post-audit. Post-audit here we are talking about external review. For example, external review. What do you mean? Now, for the internal audit functions, periodic external quality assessment reviews are a standard practice to ensure adherence to professional standards and also to provide an external objective perspective. There are also lessons learned post-audit. A post-audit debriefing should be conducted to identify what worked well and what could be improved in future audits, informing the quality control processes for upcoming engagements. So these are some of the quality controls at both the planning stage and also throughout the audit. That's all for our today's lesson on quality control. We are discussing quality control under the topic planning for governance and compliance audit. So these are the what is required to be reviewed at the planning phase. This is what should be reviewed throughout the audit, because after the planning, then the work proceeds to the field work. Okay, the auditors now engage in the work after the planning phase is completed. So by embedding candidates a robust quality control process from the very start of the audit, an organization can ensure that that its governance and compliance audits are not just a bureaucratic what I call exercise, but a valuable and also a credible tool for managing risk and enhancing control environment. Thank you, candidates, for attending the lesson. In our next session, we are going to discuss the last subtopic under the planning for the governance and compliance audit, which is the audit team. Bye.